It's The Noon Show with Bob Sirott. Chicago's WGN Radio 720.
12:38. Do you talk about stuff at work that has nothing to do with work? Well, of course, everybody does. Is it harmful? Well, somebody thinks so. The author of the new book, The No Gossip Zone, is Sam Chapman. He is the CEO of Empower Public Relations in Chicago. And the book, The No Gossip Zone, is, it says here, a no-nonsense guide to a healthy, high-performing work environment. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing well, Bob. How are you?
Well, anxious to gossip about this with you. First off, before we get to the gossip, you have tried a few interesting experiments in your office, in the public relations area. You banned, was it email or BlackBerry use? What was it that you did?
Well, we take a BlackBerry hiatus from 6 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning, and for 48 hours on the weekend. It's just a way to rest. I love the way people try and paint what I do as some sort of big brother behavior, but what we're really doing is saying the boss isn't going to email you during that time. We want you to rest.
And how did you come to the conclusions that you did about gossip in the workplace?
I had a gossip problem at my workplace. I noticed that people would stop talking when I was walking by, or we have an open door policy at Empower Public Relations. Sometimes a group of people were behind closed doors with no reason I could figure out, and so I came up with a way to get out of this mess, which was simply people talking about other people at work behind each other's backs.
No, you can't expect people at work to just be all business all the time. That's not very realistic, is it?
No, and it's still okay to gossip about you and Marianne or about Elliot Spitzer or any public figure. I'm not trying to stop a democratic conversation about our elected officials, but about each other or about Empower PR's clients. No gossip.
Well,
We've created a no gossip zone around that.
Well, how can you tell what they're talking about?
Well, this is a communal decision, so we all police it inside our company. It's not something I walk around doing, but it is something that I walk around believing in. So if I'm doing an employee review with my partner and I tell her something negative outside of the presence of one of our colleagues, I leave the office when we're done, and the first thing I do is go report in and say, listen, I was just doing reviews with Michelle, and I realized I'd said something negative outside of your presence, and so I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Now, if they had a no gossip rule here at WGN Radio, for example, let me tell you what would happen. There would be more people spending more time down at the Billy Goat talking about people at work here. They would just move the gossip from the workplace to the nearest place outside. Isn't that what will happen?
I don't know. I have everyone's buy-in, I believe, so it's different. You know, it's different than something top-down. We all agreed that we were doing this to each other and that we wanted to stop. And if you think about it, it's a lot of negative energy that everyone can live without. So, yeah, they may go down to the Billy Goat and they go down to the Billy Goat to drink, too. I don't think either of those things belong in the office.
What is it that is affected positively, in your opinion, at your business by this no gossip rule?
Well, there are two things. One is we've had it in place for 2 years, and our company has doubled in size each of those 2 years. The other is that we have replaced gossip with authentic communication, because when you have something bad to say about someone who's not present, you either keep it to yourself or say it to their face. And I think both of those are better outcomes than saying it behind their back.
Now, you can't tell me, did you say business has doubled in the last 2 years?
Business has quadrupled in the last 2 years. It's doubled each of the last 2 years.
So you can't tell me that that's just because there's a no gossip zone.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know how it is at WGN. If everyone's in a good mood, then the ratings are better. And if everyone's crabby, then people turn the dial. So I think in a service industry where all you're doing is sharing your people with the world for money, their attitude means everything.
At first, what was the reaction to this, and how did you navigate what must be some rough waters when you're telling people they can't talk about certain things at work?
Well, they can. They just have to say it to the person they're talking about. So I guess there were two people at the beginning who sort of weren't into it, and they were the bad gossipers, and I fired them. So
you're tough. You're tough.
Well, this isn't a democracy. It's a totalitarian dictatorship, and I'm not firing anybody because they're part of a protected class or with, some sort of nefarious reason. They weren't being good team players. And so ever since then, I've recruited with the no gossip policy as part of the interview, and everyone who joins Empower is joining bearing in mind and I believe appreciating that we have a no gossip zone.
Talk about the last chapter in your book, which is called Your Loudest Denials Are True and Other Principles.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one. Have you ever heard anyone come out and deny something when you ask them, oh, no, I don't drink and drive, or, oh, my goodness, I would never cheat on my wife? The people who make those loud proclamations are usually doing things in opposite speak. So what I have noticed is that our loudest denials, especially the ones that we didn't put out there, are really the opposite. So if I ask you if you've ever cheated on your wife and you answer it, that doesn't tell me that it's untrue. But if no one asked you and then you say that, God forbid, it's an indication to me that the opposite is true. And how often do we not practice what we preach?
The fact that you state in the book here that the average employee spends 65 hours a year gossiping at the office is one of those interesting statistics that I read and wonder, well, where did that come from? How did you come to that figure?
The RAND organization did that research.
And they said that the average employee spends 65 hours a year gossiping at the office. That would be talking about other employees?
Yeah, well, for them, I bet you they included talking about Britney Spears and Michael Jackson and so forth. But another interesting statistic is that for 60% of employees, gossip is the single largest complaint in the workplace. So this is really a burr under the saddle of most employees, and I've got to believe most bosses. It's nothing good comes from saying bad things outside of each other's presence. Looking someone in the face and giving them the feedback they deserve is the only way to go. And Bob, I have found, because we complete on gossip, we say, hey, that's gossip, you have to go tell. That's how we do it. No one gets fired anymore. I have found when we bother to go clean up gossip, half of what people are saying about each other isn't true. And that's the main reason to clean it up, because people deserve a chance to protect their own reputations. And if they're not around while the bad stuff is being said, they can't do that.
It's the No Gossip Zone. That's the name of the book, A No-Nonsense Guide to a Healthy, High-Performing Work Environment. Sam Chapman, the author, and it's an interesting idea. Good luck with it, and congratulations on the book, Sam.
Thank you, Bob. Send my best to Mary Ann.
Will do. Appreciate it. Thank you. It is 12:46 at WGN Radio. I feel like now I should talk about Sam Chapman behind his back, but he's done a great job with that public relations agency, and his wife is Laura Berman, the sexpert. And hey, whatever works in your workplace,